On this bone-breaking episode of MythBusters,
I fell down, I was so excited.
can a pile of antacid pills really help blast a man out of jail?
Prison can do funny things to a guy.
The fizz packs a punch. But is it enough to crack solid concrete?
This is the big one.
Then we turn out the lights on the struggle to smuggle.
Let's go blind some drivers.
Can an outlaw cash in by crashing the border at night without headlights?
Oh, that sucked.
And assuming it works, what? Would anyone live to tell the tale? Who are the MythBusters? Adam Savage
I feel perfectly normal.
and Jamie Heineman.
Pain is your friend.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience. Joining them, Grant Imahara, Carrie Byron,
And I'm starting to get the idea that this shouldn't be done inside.
Tori Belleci, and featuring Jesse Combs.
That was awesome!
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test.
Big night last night?
No, this is a brain teaser. What can you do with these items?
You mean besides cure a hangover?
Yeah,
I don't know. I'll bite. What can you do?
you can break out of jail.
No.
Yeah, the myth is that an industrious inmate lined the inside of his cell wall with sheet plastic, and he had collected something like 10 years worth of antacid tablets, which he exposed to water, creating enough CO2 to pressurize the cell and break the cell walls, and he escaped.
I love it.
What's not to love? For instant freedom, just add water. But can the massive amount of CO2 produced from a pile of bubbling tablets really budge bricks and mortar? We'll need to capture every ounce of energy from a giant chemical belch.
Well, I reckon the best place to start is to figure out what kind of pressures we can get out of antacid tablets here in the shop.
I think you're right. Maybe we should start out in small scale and see what we're dealing with the pressures, the physics, the chemistry, that kind of thing.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need all of that information before we go full scale.
Before anyone breaks out the beakers, they'll need to start building a full-scale cell, which should be as tough as its tenant.
While normally people go to great lengths to avoid a prison cell, we've actually had to go to great lengths to get up close and cozy with one. These pallets of cinder blocks that I'm sitting on will, in fact, our prison walls make, and that yellow line behind me describes the extent of our test cell.
Construction begins inside Building 258 at the Naval Shipyard. This way they can't be stalled by bad weather. You can tell they're serious by the forest of rebar they use to anchor the jail to the floor.
If you know us, you know we like to build everything ourselves, and we've built buildings before on the show, but in this case, since this story is all about the structural integrity of the building, we figured that we need some professional help, so that's why we've got these guys doing this. This building's going to be tough.
In fact, it's far and away the sturdiest shack we've ever built. It's a cozy 10 feet long by 7 feet wide by 6.5 feet high, maximum security cell.
He's got a lot better technique than I do.
That's pretty clear. They're all like throwing it and stuff. I'm kind of impressed.
It is pretty to watch. And hey, these guys are fast.
This professional help thing is pretty good. This morning we had a yellow rectangle on the floor. This afternoon, most of a prison cell.
But the day's only half done for Adam and Jamie. It's back to M5 to find out how much potentially explosive pressure they can hope to wrangle from the humble antacid tablet. Jamie starts with a volumetric test to see how much gas is produced by measuring the water it displaces.
So you release the antacid into here, it expands. That expansion of gas pushes water out of this one into here, and whatever volume we get in here is how much gas was produced by the antacid.
Ain't it great?
I love it. Let's do it.
There's more than enough water to make this work. Jamie pulls the quick-release magnet, and they're off and bubbling.
Look at that. It works.
And they've got a result in seconds.
So it looks like one pill produces about 75 milliliters of gas.
Yeah, about 80.
Well, now my question would be, do 2 pills displace 160 milliliters? Does it scale perfectly linearly?
Double the gas from double the pills would make sense, but science is rarely so simple.
Wow.
The volume of gas produced scoots past the 160 mark and continues to climb.
This one's looking like 275.
To see if the trend continues, the next logical step is to try 4 pills. Double the 2-pill result would be 550 mils of displaced water. And before long, Jamie's wishing he'd brought a bigger beaker.
It's actually going more than...
More than double. It seems like doubling the number of pills gives you more than double the displacement of water.
So this could go exponential, actually.
It's clear there's CO2 aplenty, but the myth depends specifically on the pressure the gas generates. So that's what they'll measure next.
Testing pressure in 3, 2, 1.
Oh, look at that.
They start over with 1 tablet, and again, the results come quickly.
What are we getting there? 1.9? 2 psi?
Yeah, it's about 1.9, just a hair under 2.
Now for a mini moment of truth to see if pressure, like volume, increases exponentially.
All right. 2-tablet pressure test.
If the pressure just doubles, the 2 tabs will fizzle at 4 psi.
Both pills are still going, both tablets are still bubbling. 2 psi is roundly passed, 2.5 psi is on its way. 2.5 psi handily passed by the both tablets, and now rounding up on 3 psi. 3 psi, will we get 3.5 psi? 3.5, anyone for 3.5? Yes, both pills seem to want to go to 3.5 psi on our way to 4. 4 psi, 4 psi. Go, go, yes! Passing 4 psi, the expected linear expansion rate of the 2 tablets, and it seems that their expansion rate is in fact exponential.
In practical terms, that means they might be able to crack the jail cell with relatively few antacid tablets.
Shall we go up to 3 tablets?
Let's.
I gotta say, when we started this out, I didn't have high hopes that there'd be a lot of pressure being generated by antacid tablets. But so far, what we're finding is actually kind of thrilling.
Look at those puppies go.
Oh, yeah. We're finding that if you double the amount of antacid tablets, you get more than double the pressure. 8.2. Okay, I'm calling it. I'm going to release pressure, okay?
Okay.
It seems to increase exponentially. This could be a gargantuan amount of pressure we could create in this prison cell. I'm pretty excited.
But to make doubly sure, Jamie wants to run a last set of tests in a bigger container.
I feel like I'm defusing a nuclear bomb. All right, place the core very carefully. Don't let the 2 substances react with each other.
They christen the chamber with 20 antacid pills, hoping it's tough enough to handle the pressure.
All right, it's holding steady at 10 psi. Shall we next go to double?
Okay.
If past results hold true, the pressure from 40 tablets should comfortably pass 20 psi. Only this time, it doesn't.
Seems to be settling in at 18 psi. So we're not getting that exponential leap we were getting in the small scale.
The increase was 80%. That's not exponential or even linear.
So what do you say? Should we double it one more time? Try 80 tablets?
Yeah.
Cool.
Seems the size of the container does affect the pressure.
Here we go.
With 80 tablets, the gauge climbs to 20, then slows down.
We might absolutely be at the pressure limit of this stuff.
Yeah, you may be right. But keep in mind that 25 psi is a lot in any building. In fact, I don't think most buildings would be able to withstand that.
Oh, I think you're totally right. I think if we can get 10 psi in this prison cell, we're going to bring it crumbling to the ground.
Well, that's the dream. But again, doubling the dose only raises the pressure by 80%. At least there's a pattern, but what's the direction?
Sure, there's a lot of fizzy goodness, but does it mean anything? Well, I've graphed it out. I think it does mean something. Let me explain. Follow me. Right, so the first test on top was volume displacement. How much gas the tablets put out when you combine them with water. We tested it 3 times, doubling the number of tablets for each test. Now, we had an expectation that when we doubled the number of tablets, we'd get double the volume of gas, but this was not so. In fact, the improvement was much greater. 250% the amount of gas every time we doubled the tablets. That's an exponential growth rate. But what about the pressure? That was the next test we did. Again, testing it 3 times, doubling the number of tablets each time. And in this, we still saw an exponential growth, although a little less than what we saw in the volumetric test. About 150% improvement each time we doubled the number of tablets. Is it contingent upon the volume we're working with? Well, we wondered that too. So we went up to a 10-liter container here, doubling the number of tablets each time, and now we're seeing much more of a linear growth, about an 80% improvement every time. But the fact that this is slowly dropping concerns us. What does this mean for the full-size cell? Does this mean that when we get that big, the volume won't mean anything and that we won't get the pressure we're looking for? We don't know.
There will be an answer unless Adam explodes first.
Well, this is a first.
What's that, doing a blueprint in the dark?
Yes, but also a myth about smuggling in the dark. And we're not talking about your old-timey Barbary Coast pirates. We're talking about modern-day smuggling.
Well, tell me about it.
Well, according to the viewers, what people are doing is trying to get, let's say, maple syrup across the Canadian border to the United States. And what they'll do is they'll pick a very low-key border crossing and they'll wait till nightfall. Not just any night, very cold, dark, wintry night where it's almost pitch black. They go through the border and they do their entire journey in complete darkness. And bam, you're a smuggler.
All right, so the myth that we're testing here is, can you drive in the dark without your headlights at speeds and still not hit anything?
Sounds like fun to me.
It's a technique that's been said to be used by smugglers. Turn off the headlights, hit the gas, race past the border, and no one the wiser. But can it be done in the near pitch dark without coming a cropper?
I don't know about this one, you guys. I mean, I have my doubts. It's like, yeah, your eyes can adjust to the dark in 20 minutes, but I mean, are they gonna be able to process images just as fast and as accurately as if you had your headlights on?
Well, that's what we gotta find out, right?
Why don't we do this? We'll do our experiment at an indoor go-kart track. That way we'll have control over the light levels at all times. Then we can do one run with headlights and compare it to a run in complete darkness.
Go-karts? High speeds in the dark? Sounds like a recipe for disaster to me. Let's do it.
As always, there's work to do before the fun starts. These guys are actors, producers, and stagehands in their own drive-in movie.
The go-kart track is gonna have plenty of twists and turns in it. But since this myth takes place in Canada, we decided we need to add a little Canadian flavor. As we're smuggling maple syrup, we're definitely gonna need some maple trees. Pretty fast workers, eh?
The trees are strictly scenery, but wild animals could be a deadly hazard to anyone crazy enough to cruise the 49th parallel with the lights off, eh?
Now, if you were smuggling maple syrup across the Canadian border, one obstacle you might encounter would be a moose. Now, I've made a moose before. However, that one was made out of solid rubber. It was actually designed to withstand an impact from a real car going 60 miles an hour. Wow! Did you see how high the moose got on that hit?
For the record, that's what happens when a car plays chicken with a giant rubber moose. It's a result Tori's not anxious to replicate.
I'm going with the material that is gonna break away when we hit him with the car. So I'm gonna make the moose out of styrofoam. Hurry up, we need those done by lunch.
In fact, the team has till nightfall to ready the props for the great syrup smuggle.
A moose.
Grant's found a venue that's willing to stay up late.
So to put this myth to the test, we couldn't just go out on city streets and drive around with no headlights. That'd be way too dangerous. To test this out, we need a venue that's controlled and repeatable, where we can test things out safely, scientifically, and most importantly, sensibly.
But seriously, this is the plan. We're gonna drive this course in the dark, once with the headlights on and then with them off.
We're gonna be racing against the clock, not against each other.
And we're gonna try to go as fast as we can without crashing.
Yeah, because if you crash, that means you got caught by the cops.
And no make sure we don't remember the course, we're gonna drive the first round in one direction.
And then the second time around, we'll go completely backwards because there's no way we can remember that.
Sounds like a plan, but let's not put the cart before the moose. They still need to litter the track with some natural impediments. Hiding somewhere around a corner, our surprise moose will test the driver's reaction time.
I have to get another one. This one's not trained very well. Yeah, that's good.
And dropped randomly at the end of a straight bit,
Perfect.
this log will test their long-range visual acuity. But that's not all.
Now our third and final obstacle tests whether you can read a sign and make a snap decision. Both of these signs have 4-letter words that begin with C. Obviously, you want to go towards the cafe and not the cops.
And here's a timely thought. If they can't see in the dark,
Now, I know what you're asking yourself. Wait a minute. If you guys are driving in the dark, how are we gonna see? I'll tell you how. Kill the lights. We have special infrared cameras and infrared lights that will allow you to see what we're doing. But just because you can see what we're doing doesn't mean we can see what we're doing. To us, it's still pitch black.
ultimate success depends on not getting caught and not crashing. But a good smuggling trip is also a fast one. So each of our would-be felons takes one hot lap to see just how fast they are with the headlights on.
Here I go.
The track is tight and the moose is lurking, but Grant's not holding back.
And he misses the moose.
Wait for the log, wait for the log.
He gets around the log.
Approaching the finish without a scratch, it's Grant in provisional pole position.
And he's going down the right path.
That's pretty cool.
So first Tori, then Jesse take their turns, anxious to beat Grant's time without bouncing the cars off the scenery. Unseen by the drivers, the obstacles are all repositioned from one lap to the next. They were all fast and faultless. No mean feat on a twisting track without streetlights.
Lights. Oh. That was so much different than just regular daylight.
Yeah, it's way scarier.
All right, let's go check the leaderboard.
What?
It's glory for Tori, but just by a whisker.
All right, well, at least you've got our control now.
Yes. Now the hard part. It's time to drive in complete darkness.
No headlights. Have I told you guys that I'm afraid of the dark?
Perfect.
It's gonna be funny.
A good antacid does two key things. It cures your heartburn and quells indigestion. But if these jailbirds knew what else it could do, they'd put up with the pain and start stashing the rations. Adam and Jamie are testing the myth that a con busted out by exploding his cell with 10 years worth of stockpiled antacid. Unlikely or not, the method has plenty of merit.
Stage 1 of our test cell is complete. The walls are up, but they are hollow. And in a prison, they're not hollow. Soon, we will fill them with rebar and concrete and cap it off with a cast concrete roof. But first, I'm gonna pretty the place up with some industrial paint.
They've combed the catalogs for just the right colors. Bile green for inside, gastric yellow for out.
We've decided to make the roof as strong as we can because what we're really testing here is the strength of the walls, and we can't do that if the roof breaks first. So we've done a proper job of it. We've brought in a cement truck. The whole thing is going to be steel reinforced with rebar. And again, we're relying on the skills of people who normally do this kind of thing for a living.
When the quick set sets, Adam ups the realism by adding some basic amenities. It's not every day a toilet's installed just for the ambience. Then Jamie brings in that most crucial of fittings, a custom-built door that's as strong as the cell.
There you go.
I built this door out of a solid piece of 1 1/4 bullet-resistant plastic. That's exactly the same material we use for the panels in our blast screens. It's set inside a heavy steel frame with very solid hinges. In fact, I'd bet this is actually stronger than a normal jail door. Look at that, it's actually fitting.
They're not getting out.
Let's go.
Okay.
With the cell now complete, that just leaves the giant plastic bag. And that's something they'll first test back in the shop.
Well, this is a miniature version of our jail cell made out of glass. And so we're gonna see if we can break some walls, break some glass with antacid.
Previous tests show that doubling the tablets won't quite double the pressure.
We might absolutely be at the pressure limit of this stuff.
But the boys are aware that the PSI needed to breach those jail walls could be as low as 5 or 10.
All right then, 100 tablets, here we come.
It's a gamble they're betting will break the tank, as Adam supplies the wannabe escapees.
So our prisoner lined the inside of his cell with plastic to seal it. Well, we've replicated that here in this small scale. We've got 100 tablets, we've got some water, we've got the plastic bag, and we're looking to see how that plastic interacts with this box.
Now, when we join the water and the antacid tablets, we're going to watch that bag inflate, and hopefully we'll learn something from that, enough to translate to our full-scale experiment. Hopefully we'll also see some breaking glass, and that's just because, well, we like breaking glass.
So with a shimmy and a shake,
there you go.
They're set to pop.
That was fast. Are you okay?
Yeah. Turns out it's a little harder to dump over a cup of water inside this thing than we anticipated, and that made me hold on to it a couple seconds too long.
Ah, the joys of practical science. On a happier note, while the underside panel is busted, the myth is far from it.
This tells me exactly what I knew about the pressures, which is they can get quite high in an enclosed space, and that speaks very well for us going full scale.
But first up, that last test is well worth repeating, this time with thicker glass.
You ready?
Do it!
With a flick of the wrist, the process begins. Now, for all you who think that dogs can sense danger, let's freeze it right here. That's Jamie's dog, Zero, who just changed her mind about coming downstairs.
Wow, I can see it bowing up on top. There it goes!
Oh, look, they actually escaped.
They did!
There's no denying it's a dangerous way to break out of jail. But if you survive, what a tale you could tell.
Oh, I can see the top starting to bow.
Wow! Look at that force!
Well, keep in mind as well that only a fraction of those pills had actually dissolved.
Yeah.
So this was probably happening at, what, 3 or 4 PSI or so?
Maybe only, yeah, I totally agree.
Okay, a glass tank is not a concrete cell, but the figures are all adding up.
This is good. I'm psyched. The pressures are real. I don't think there's anything to do now but go whole hog on this puppy.
As if smuggling wasn't risky enough, Tori, Grant, and Jesse have found a way to double the danger. They've clocked their times with headlights on. Now it's time for lights out.
My prediction for what it's going to be like without headlights, impossible. It's going to be really, really crazy.
Considering that I can't even walk around this course in the dark, Grant's chances of making it through the course in the go-kart, I think are not going to be good.
But Grant can improve his odds of survival by sitting in solitary. In a few minutes, his pupils will dilate, allowing more light to pass through to the retina. But there's more to it than that, as the guys found out on the Pirate Special.
All right, so we were trying to see if a pirate's eye patch could have actually been a kind of tool to get instant night vision by swapping it from one good eye to the other, and it really seemed to work.
That's amazing.
Apparently, one of the key factors in human night vision is a chemical in the rod cells of the eye called rhodopsin. It's actually bleached out in normal light, and it takes about 20 minutes of darkness to regenerate. So that's how long we'll spend sitting in the dark.
At the track, it's as black as a yard up a chimney.
How's that look? You tell me, I can't see.
To counter the possibility that he's memorized the track from his last run, Grant will set off in the opposite direction.
This is one of those things that is just so crazy. If it wasn't for the sound of the engine and the squealing of the wheels, it would be just like a nightmare. Just these blurry shapes rushing past you, and then wham, something's right in your face. I mean, it is a totally surreal experience.
After crawling his way around the rest of the course, Grant finally crosses the line. And the news is not good.
You totally almost did it.
Look, I was making such good time, and then there was a moose right in the middle of the road. And then I might have grazed it, and I hit the wall.
You know what, I hate to tell you, from the get-go, you went down the wrong path, and you got caught by the cops.
In other words, Grant flunked the test. But can Jessie do any better? At the very least, she's confident.
I'm not afraid one bit. I'm kind of excited, actually. I don't know. I'm praying for the best.
One problem with those sensitive rod cells is they mostly help with peripheral vision. The fovea, which is used to focus, has very few.
It was fairly close to what I had expected. I knew I was going to be hesitant in stepping on the gas.
She missed the moose, but latched onto the log. So if this was the real world, she too would have crashed and burned.
I think I still have the log attached to me.
And now for the man voted most likely to burn rubber in a drive-through.
All right, so I have been sitting in the dark for 20 minutes. My eyes are completely adjusted. And you know what? I'm actually surprised at how well I can see right now.
With nary a trip nor a stumble, Tori makes his way to the cart. The flag drops, and he's off to a start that's more like a stop.
That was so hard. I couldn't see anything. I had to get like 6 feet away from the sun before I could even tell which way to go.
Jessie, of course, had the same problem. But it's what happens next that shocks the fans. The lethal lack of light has turned Tori timid.
Can't we just fast forward this?
Not while he's doing it.
You cannot see anything. I mean, you see shapes here and there, but you have no idea. You're gonna crash into something at any moment. The fact that I didn't hit the moose or the log, I think I just got lucky.
Tori was far and away the slowest. Then again, he's the only one who didn't crash or drive straight to the cops.
I'm the only one that made the delivery, but I mean, look how long it took me.
With a lap that was 4 times longer than his effort with headlights, this myth is veering off course. Then Jessie decides to steer straight for the cliff.
And we're missing one huge thing here.
What's that?
What happens when a car comes in oncoming direction and shines their headlights right in our face?
You know, that's a good point. I mean, that would totally ruin your night vision.
It sure would. And in the interest of proper procedure, we're about to put that to the test. Over the years, we've tried several ingenious methods to break loose from the calaboose.
We're busting out of here, see?
We've used human hair, horses, cannons, even salsa, in a generally futile attempt to release a man on his own recognizance.
Okay. Freedom!
An antacid explosion might just be the craziest. But if someone stashed 2 pills per meal over 10 years, that's 22,000 tabs ready to blow.
So what makes us imagine that 22,000 of these little puppies has any chance at all of breaking us out of a steel-reinforced, poured concrete jail cell? After all, in the shop, we got pressures up to 42 PSI, and how is 42 pounds of anything gonna break out of this wall? I'll tell you, it's all about a little thing we like to call a distributed load.
Allow me to demonstrate.
And yes, you can try this at home.
Now, when I blow against a surface area of 1 square inch, I'm able to lift a maximum of 1.1 pounds with my breath.
But expelled inside of a plastic bag with a vast surface area, that lungful of air can work miracles.
Now, over an area of 100 square inches, all of a sudden, I can lift 125 pounds.
And that's probably more than Adam can bench press.
I fell down, I was so excited.
What does this mean for our prison cell? Well, the combined total surface area of the inside of this cell is about 45,500 square inches. If our antacid tablets are able to generate a pressure of just 5 pounds per square inch, 5 times 45,500, I'd call that a shade under 250,000 pounds total force against the inside of this cell. Now, will that break it? I don't know. That's what we're here to find out.
And so back to work. While Jamie tapes over the bumps and sharp edges, Adam gets technical.
Right about now, I'll bet you're wondering how we're going to monitor what kind of pressures we might be getting from our antacid tablets during the experiment. This is how. One of the most sensitive gauge clusters we've ever put together for the show. It measures everything from the lowly sensitive 0 to 5 pounds per square inch of pressure all the way up to 200 pounds. Now, if we get anywhere close to this, I'm running, as the word says. Check this out. See what I mean?
And now, with the help of some double-sided tape, Jamie and Adam start piecing together that vital component, the big plastic bubble.
This is working great.
So far.
It looks less and less likely that one desperate jailbird could manage all this, building the bubble or even devising a way to get the water from the sink to the stack. But this is a case of not letting a good story get in the way of the facts.
I don't know, man. You know how you think about something like this for ages, but then when you finally start to do it, it becomes really real? I mean, in addition to actually real, but real in your head? I'm starting to feel like this may work.
Yeah, well, prison can do funny things to a guy.
And the guy standing in as our stunt saboteur is Buster.
Time for the inmate to go in?
I think so. He's got to go under the bag.
He does. So let's bring him up to the edge of the door and slide him in, because if I was doing this, I'd have my mouth at the door jamb so I could breathe.
If you could breathe at all.
If you could breathe at all. Let's do it. What is Buster doing outside this bag? There's actually a very good reason for it. The fact is that when antacid tablets react with water, one of the byproducts is carbon dioxide. And if you're in a bag with the carbon dioxide byproduct of 22,000 tablets of antacid, there's a very high risk of suffocation. So Buster is up against the door jamb to try and breathe some fresh air while his cell crumbles around him.
But now for the real star of the show, antacid by the bucketful.
Okay, here you go, Adam.
All right.
You want to hop in? I'll hand them to you.
Yeah, will you crack them open? Thank you.
The tablets are heaped round the toilet and basin, right under the hose that's been pushed through a hole in the wall.
Don't ask me how he hid these from the guards. I haven't the slightest idea. We're here to test the physics.
It was in the mattress. The problem was, the first time around, he wet his bed. Bad idea.
It's also possible that the older tablets in the myth might not fizz so well after 10 years. But like Adam said, this is more about the science than the story.
I think we're good to go.
All right, let's seal it up.
All right. Will it work? Well, the math says it could. Honestly, I have no idea, but I tell you one thing, I'm not going to be standing near it when it goes off.
Jesse's decided that driving in darkness means facing the dazzle of oncoming headlights. stand-in for an oncoming car takes him back to his robot roots.
It's a combat robot that I built. I mount a pair of headlights to it, and we should be able to remotely turn them on as well as drive around in the oncoming lane of traffic. And then we'll finally find out the effect that headlights have on your eyes. Good boy. Let's go blind some drivers.
Actually, just one driver. Tori volunteers to be the deer in the headlights.
Hey there, little buddy. What's your name?
Say hello to Blinky.
Oh, it makes perfect sense.
Turning on the house lights would destroy Tori's night vision by bleaching the rhodopsin pigment. So Jesse helps out with a flashlight.
Here we are.
Okay.
The obstacles are reset, and Grant puts Blinky behind the wall at the first turn. This lap could be all over in a flash. There goes Tori, and here comes the other guy.
Dude, that was so crazy. Oh, that sucked. All of a sudden, the lights went on, and it was like an instant black wall with two little headlights. As soon as a car was coming towards you with the headlights on, you would be completely blinded, and you would crash.
Done for.
So technically, this myth is busted. They simply couldn't drive fast enough with any control. But the concept still has a chance, assuming the Crims have access to some high-tech headwear. After days of exertion and experimentation, it's finally time to appraise the legend of antacid jailbreak. So with our guys hopefully out of harm's way...
All right, antacid jailbreak, circumstances of the myth, start the water flowing.
And start the hearts pumping.
I can see the plastic moving.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, look at that.
But they can't see what we're seeing inside the cell.
This is killing me. I wish I could see inside. The viewers, they get to see a cutaway of inside right now. I have to wait.
What they can see is just plain depressing. Not a flicker of movement on the face of the dials.
How much water are we putting in there?
We have about 350 gallons.
We're not putting that much in, though.
We'll run it as long as it takes.
Fighting words from a man in a tangerine jumpsuit. But the nostrils soon confirm their worst fears.
I'm smelling the antacid tablets. That means we got a leak somewhere.
Yeah.
With the pressure at zero, at least according to the gauges, Adam ventures forth. Deciding that whatever can happen has happened, they pull the proverbial plug.
Now, cut the water. It's all been expended. All the tablets are used up, and we didn't even get any pressure out of it.
This felonious fable looks dead in the water.
Well, I guess that means myth busted, huh?
No.
I think it's entirely feasible that we got a leak around the sink or the toilet. I think we need to remove the sink, remove the toilet,
Make a really nice, pristine bag in there and try it again.
Eliminate the variables.
Exactly.
Okay.
And eliminate they do. Out goes the old plastic bubble. There's no choice but to build another from scratch. And Adam uninstalls the fixtures. It's decided that no matter what, this next attempt will be their last. But we badly want a result, and that means going the extra mile.
What we're doing here is preparing for phase 2, where we can hopefully deliver a lot more water a lot faster. So to install a bigger pipe in the roof, we need to cut a nice round hole.
Nothing like having the right tool, huh?
And the tool for this job is the incredible carbide-tipped hole saw. This is the one Adam bought for his wife on their last anniversary.
The new plan has 3 steps. First, more water. Second, build a tighter and better bubble.
I'm ready to go. Shall we bring the tub in?
Yeah. Works for me.
All right.
And third, up the medication. This tub will be filled with enough raw ingredients citric acid, and baking soda to approximate 72,000 antacid pills. Add 28,000 store-bought tablets, and the magic number is 100,000.
We could solve the digestive problems of half the United States, I think, with this.
And maybe kill themselves in the process. While Adam attaches the hose, Jamie reflects on the frailty of life.
Looking at this building and how well it's built, it actually terrifies me. I mean, with pressure vessels, it's not like an explosive. You don't know when it's going to go off or if it's going to go off. It's nasty. It's either going to do it or it's not. This is the big one.
This is for real. Turn the engine on and go to phase 1. Release the water.
Jesse, Grant, and Tori have all but busted the myth that smugglers could drive on a moonless night without headlights.
All right, so it looks like the naked eye just isn't up to the demands of this smuggling mission, which means it's time to deploy some technology.
Check this out, night vision goggles.
That's right. These babies are state-of-the-art, third generation from B.E. Myers. They take all the available light and amplify it into an image we can see.
Now this is the kind of technology I've been talking about.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do a run in the dark using nothing but these and see how I do.
Okay, but this time no lollygagging around the track at a snail's pace. Let's make it realistic. I'll be chasing after you like I'm the cop.
What? Lollygagging?
Yes, lollygagging.
These night vision goggles are legal in the US, but not in Canada. Still, I don't suppose that would deter a depraved syrup smuggler.
All right, now how are we gonna determine that I've been caught?
Well, she's going to try and ram you, hit your bumper, turn your car, do whatever it takes to stop you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Okay, lights out.
So, can technology work where the human eye failed? Tori's first few laps are fast and bouncy.
Seeing is not a problem. Being able to judge how far you are from objects or seeing around you, that is the problem. I mean, it is truly tunnel vision. You have no depth of field, you have no peripheral vision. I mean, I must have banged into the walls, half a dozen times.
Now, Officer Jesse gives chase, and you get the feeling it won't be long before justice catches up with our scoundrel.
And then you have the cop chasing you, and that's a whole new game where it's like now you have the stress of somebody catching you, and you're having to react quickly.
But what's the ultimate verdict?
I mean, you can drive with the night vision goggles, but as soon as you started chasing me, I had to speed up, and my reaction time had to speed up. And having tunnel vision, basically, I totally misjudged that last turn, and crashed in the wall, and that's when you smacked into me and stopped me.
So driving with night vision goggles might help a little, but less than we'd hoped. The myth is first tested, totally busted.
And is it dangerous?
Yeah, absolutely.
In a last-ditch attempt to bust out of jail, Adam and Jamie unleash the supposedly awesome power of antacid, some in tablet form and some as raw ingredients.
Hey, back off on the flow of the water just a little bit.
A little more.
That's almost perfect. Right there. Leave it there.
This time, there's a video feed from the inside cameras. They start by drenching just the pill pile with the small hose. This is phase 1.
Pressure's still increasing on the plastic. I can see it moving.
Really?
Yeah, right in the corner down there.
Even better, Adam's gauge cluster is finally feeling the pressure.
Oh, we're getting something on the needle, just a tiny bit. We got maybe 20% of 1 PSI. We've probably taken care of more than half of the antacid tablets there, 14,000, 15,000 at this point.
Crazy, or does that door seem like it's pushing out on the bottom? It is.
Is it?
Look along the rail on the bottom.
Yeah.
The door is pressing out on the top and the bottom.
We're at just a hair's breadth under 1/2 of a PSI.
Yeah, the pile is almost entirely wet. The foam's crawled all the way up it.
I don't know though, dude. You want to do what we do best?
Yeah,
You want to take it to the next level?
yeah, over the top. Cue the deluge.
Let's go to phase 2, turn everything up to full.
Phase 2 is the tub and the fire hose. If it does what it should, we're just moments away from the world's biggest belch.
There we go. Water's pouring into our tub.
Okay, everybody.
Oh, we're at 1 PSI.
It's climbing like a rocket.
1.5 PSI.
Look at the door.
Eyes open.
Guys, be careful.
2 PSI.
The door's gonna go.
2.5 PSI. Oh my God. We're coming up to 4 PSI. And the door's... Oh my God. Is everyone okay?
Oh, it actually worked.
Dude. Look at that.
Jamie's blast-proof door is bent like a straw in a cyclone. In the tub, the suds are still bubbling.
The minute that fire hose opened up on the tub, it was like a virtual hurricane of CO2 coming up out of the tub. You could hear it, and within seconds, the door started to potato chip. This massive door that I built is just like creaking and groaning and curling from all of this pressure. It was agonizing to watch it.
This 150-pound piece of 1.25-inch bullet-resistant plastic, and yet all it took was one 6 mil piece of plastic with 4 pounds per square inch of pressure behind it to deflect this door that much. And this is where it ended up. During the test, it was probably stretched easily twice that far.
There it goes.
That is a shocker.
It's like a wave just slammed into that door from inside.
It's a cracker result. But just where does that leave prisoner Buster?
Let's posit that he's inside the bag. The amount of CO2 produced by the reaction? Sorry, buddy, but I call suffocation on that. And what if he's able to actually seal himself outside the bag during a reaction? Well, I'll just put it this way. The amount of force required to bend this door like this is more than enough to squish our poor inmate like a grape.
So the myth, like the inmate, is all washed up.
I think we have clearly demonstrated the awesome power inside an antacid tablet, at least under the right conditions.
Yeah, but they ain't gonna break you out of jail. Busted.
Totally busted.
Yet another common household item that can wreak destruction.